On today's episode of the Habitz Podcast, we've got Ian Murphy from CyberOff, and he'll be sharing with us his good habits when it comes to cyber awareness. So there'll be some people tuning in wondering what qualifies you to be our guest expert when it comes to cyber awareness.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on. It's not just those some people, it's me as well. I'm not quite sure what the expert tab kind of involves. I think for me, what I do have, without being all Liam Neeson about it, is a certain set of skills and a wide varied experience. And that covers over 27 years in this industry, from everything within government to working with vendors to working on my own and now startups as well. And I think that gives me a view that not a lot of people have. And also when it comes to awareness, I think I've seen a lot of fads come and go. And I think I've seen a lot of pontification on the subject of awareness without actually anybody ever doing anything new or innovative or even ballsy when it comes to awareness to try and grab and keep hold of the attention of the viewers.
So what are some of the common things that people do get wrong then?
I'm not sure whether they get it wrong. I think a lot of people play it safe. I think people are really paranoid with offence and really causing offence of somebody else, of their people, of their colleagues, of their staff. And I think this stymies creativity. You know, you'll have seen it in your business better than anybody else, that when you're trying to engage people, when you're trying to get information into them, when you're trying to get a message across, you best do it with emotions. You best do it through conveying of different emotions. And I think what the cyber or even the security industry has done to date is use the wrong type of emotions with fear, uncertainty, and doubt to try and sell, to try and engage. When actually one of the best vehicles for getting engagement, grabbing attention is humour. And if you do it wrong, if you go too far, people think you've crossed the line, especially in the corporate world. And I think that's one of the big dangers for a lot of people, is thinking that their colleagues, their staff, their users, their workforce don't like a good laugh like everybody else.
Yeah. So when you'd then be advising companies, if they wanted to get a message out there about sort of cybersecurity, cyber awareness, to use humour and use a better way to deliver that message?
I think that's part of it. I think you also need to know your stuff as well. You can't just come on as a joker, as a clown, and just dance about and expect somebody to take that on board. I think you need to be authoritative with it. I think you need to have the background of it. I think you need to have the experience and the war stories as well. And I also think you need to be able to talk the language of the people who are taking that information in. So a lot of people don't want technical geek speak. A lot of people don't want acronyms. A lot of people don't want to be talked down to. They want to be engaged in that conversation.
So have you got any common bad habits that you see that some of your clients or prospects or customers have before you go in and see them?
I think one of the big ones is the belief that the workforce is there to protect the business as a last line of defense. I hear some people calling them human firewalls. I hear some people talking about the last line of defense. And whilst I don't disagree too much with the sentiment, I think the business slightly gets the equation back to front. I think when you ask somebody who comes into work to do their job, to pick up a pay packet, to also then become some kind of security bastion type approach where they're protecting the business as well, I don't think they naturally sign up for that when they begin employment with you. So if you actually turn that on its head and offer them a benefit of helping them become more cyber savvy online, more aware, so they can become safer and they can impart this information to their family and friends and their wider network, I think you've got a better chance then of informing a workforce who will do that thing you want them to do, which is in turn protect the business, but do it naturally, because you're giving them content, you're giving them advice, you're giving them tips, and you're doing it in such a way that they don't feel they have to do it. That's mandatory for work. And then if you can add that humour bit into it, and you can engage them, and you can get them talking about it amongst themselves and with their wider network, I think you've got half a chance then of getting the information that us security professionals would like to get into people, but doing it in such a way as it doesn't seem as if it's a chore, if it's a once a year type of, event that they have to do to maintain a certification, or indeed if it's something, if they don't do or get wrong, then you're going to lambast them for it, or you're going to blame them for it, because that's another big bad habit I see is kind of blaming the users, is blaming the people, and talking about them being the weakest link. Nobody wants to be the weakest link. Nobody wants to make mistakes, and it's a human condition that we do. So I want us to be a bit more compassionate about that instead of just pointing the finger.
Yeah, I've worked in organisations where that type of stuff is a sort of box ticking exercise. You're punished if you don't do it. No one really wants to do it. You don't understand why you're doing it. You're just told to. Don't ask questions. Do what we ask you to do. Go on, do this online course or whatever. So what would your top 3 good habits be for anybody that wanted to improve their cyber awareness training or their cyber awareness of their employees in their organisation?
I think one of the top ones is make it interesting for them. Make it engaging, and keep that engagement short. And then once you have got that engagement, learn how to inject the message in a really good and amusing way. I think if you're going to sit somebody down in front of a screen and tell them that they've got an hour-long course that's going to make them a cybersecurity expert, you're getting less than 2 or 3% attention in that hour. I think if you're going to give them the types of videos that we do, which are primarily me making a bit of a tit of myself on the video, all in the name of education, of course. But if you're going to give them that 2 or 3 minutes of information, you've got to use that information. So you got to use that engagement wisely. And if you use it wise enough, and if you put enough hooks in the engagement and the entertainment, then you'll get people resonating with the information, and they'll start replaying back the information you've given to them. I get people on LinkedIn coming to me all the time saying, I can't get that tune out of my head, or I can't get that poem out of my head that you said, or I can't get that line out of my head. And they even see things in the videos that I've forgotten I've put in there, to be quite honest with you. So it's a really interesting thing to see people capturing that information that is meant to educate, and then them coming back and replaying it to me.
Yeah. We used to make online learning. That was the key thing for us. Make it short, engaging, bite-sized, almost introduce a concept, capture someone's imagination. Then they'll want to go and do more learning because they're interested in it then, rather than here's an hour-long course, it's multiple choice, click next until the end. It didn't really work. So what would your second good habit be?
Don't use just a one-size-fits-all approach. I talk to a lot of customers. I have clients who have several different providers, and I think that's useful because I think people learn in different ways as well, and I'm not blind to that. Where some people don't get my humour or don't like some of the phrases and images being used. By the way, I think people have to fully understand that the types of videos that I'll put out on LinkedIn, they also come in a PG format as well. I'm not going to F and blind if the video is going to be put in front of the Pope or something. Well, maybe it would, but if the video is going to be put in front of school children or things like that, I'm not going to do that. I know how to behave in polite society sometimes.
So essentially, know your audience, and you deliver that message in a slightly different way depending on the audience that will resonate with them better.
Yeah, exactly, and have those different approaches. As I said earlier on, the different types of providers. I see people saying, "Oh, I have X provider or I have Y provider," and what we've done, especially as a startup, we've made it so we can sit alongside those providers. So we add a different view and a different voice and a different type of tempo to the providers that are already there. So those providers can give the company the wider focus that they may need on a specific topic, or maybe to tick a specific compliance box. What we do is add that kind of flair and that garnish and that amusement, and hammer home those messages that may be a bit more a bit more drier in the other provider.
So ultimately what you're doing there complements other training providers. It's not an either or choice to bring you guys in and work with you guys. It's you can work alongside these other companies.
Yeah, it should never be an either or, and I'm not naive enough to think that I can go out there and say, oh, well, you have to get rid of provider X if you want to put my stuff in, or I'm not going to do any business with you if you've still got that provider, because you may give some of my if you want intellectual property to that other provider. Well, good luck if that other provider is going to clone me. First off, they are absolutely mental if they want to make a clone of me. But secondly, I do what I do because I enjoy it and I love it, and I think it's useful. And actually, if other people find it useful alongside those other providers, then all power to all of us, really.
And your final good habit when it comes to cyber awareness?
I think it's got to be stop worrying about what other people think and treat people as adults. I've spoken about offence previously, and I get that people can take offence at certain words. Not give offence. You have to work really hard to give offence to somebody, or you have to be quite a terrible, horrible person to intentionally give offence to somebody, I think. But people do take it all too readily and take it on other people's behalf as well, which is a strange offence by proxy, right? But I think that's the third habit. Treat people as people, treat adults as adults, and if you are really getting the message across and helping it resonate, then actually they're going to appreciate you talking to them like a normal human being.
So if I'm listening to this now and I'm an organisation and would like you guys to come in and help us with our cyber awareness, where could we find you?
So you can go to the website cyberoff.co.uk. You can find me on LinkedIn. I am the one in black lycra with a headband and a sign that says POW underneath it when you search for Ian Murphy. Or on Twitter, I am Cyber Ian UK. So that's Cyber Ian UK.
So thanks to Ian for sharing with us his good habits when it comes to cyber awareness. If you've got any habits you'd like to share with us, let us know in the usual places and join us next time for some more Habitz Podcast.